Flower story is about life. You know, after a death, there is always a beginning. Flower story started off with 5 characters in this very barren environment. The seed came in and grew into a beautiful flower in front of these characters. And then they realized that it was dying, and then they tried to save it. At first it was something silly as they stacked up on each other and tried to push it up and blow the flower back to its right position, but in the end they failed. So all of them cry, and the tears of the character actually watered the plant back, and one of the little characters had their antenna stuck on to the petal and lifted them up to see a field of flowers behind this hill. And that was chosen as one of these 7 stories, and that was the moment where we were like, okay, we gotta make this 10 times better.
As we were going through, editing the story, editing camera moves, just trying to figure out what is this story really. There was one day, I remember, we were standing there, we're standing around the computer. Adam was just drawing away, sketching away. We're at the part where Chip goes to the flower the last time, and there was I don't even remember exactly what happened, but it was Phil and I both at the exact same time. We both said, "What if it was sad?" And all of a sudden we realized that was what the story was missing.
We wanted the story to have meaning, some emotion to it, and because we're playing on emotion, and emotion is, it transcends boundaries. You look at someone and show this to them, and they're from France or they're from Japan, and they still see the same emotion. They see, sadness. They see joy. That's what we really wanted to play with.
In the beginning, we're thinking about our theme should be the cycle of life and how you need to appreciate the many stages of life, from beginning, middle, and end. And this kind of tied in with the theme of the ruined characters. They're basically a broken and dead civilization, and this outside force, so this little seed or flower comes in and brings new life into this barren environment.
We wanted a stone character, so I started looking at these environments that had these statues that possibly could be the characters that came to life, which is Aztec, Mexico ruins, which led us to Cambodia because I was in a jungle ruins, which gives more options like these vine leaves overtaking the ruins, or explaining why there's no people there.
Cambodia was a pretty good place, but then we realized we could probably think outside of the box a little bit more, I think. Kind of split off into groups to research other areas. And I know I led a team to research the desert, and there was an island team, and then back to a dead forest team. And it was all brought together, and we decided which one would still work best, and everyone voted on the forest, and that's where we pushed it.
The characters are in this sort of starved forest that it was starved of nutrients, so all the trees and everything had died out. It had previously been some sort of Celtic druids forest or something, as evidenced with the ruins, and these 2 characters may be something like statuettes left behind. Flint, through magic or what have you, woke up long ago when the forest had still been full of life, so he actually saw it die. Chip woke up long after its death, so he never really knew life, which explains why he was so enamored by the seed.
We had an idea for the environment to be a little bit more alive, maybe a little more grass, or decomposers like mushrooms and moss, a lot more populated throughout the environment. But we actually got feedback from Shane Acker, who is the creator of the short story that was turned into a motion picture by Tim Burton 9. He talked to us and he actually said, what if you made it even more dead, like push the death scenario. And then they see the life coming from the characters, and they're like, oh, okay, there's a few things that can live in this desert. And then they see the life of the flower, and it's just beautiful. And so the audience feels the empathy towards the beautifulness along with the characters, and then when it dies, but the audience realizes something growing and living can't live in a dead place.
One of our key characters in the film is obviously the flower. It's the focus. It's something new our characters have not seen, and designing it was quite the task. We started off basic, simple flower designs, but we knew that wasn't enough. It had to be, everyone's seen a flower, so we had to make it unique. I dove into the Japanese twisting flower to create a very unique stem, and the top area we got from the magnolia, and that's where all the seeds, that kind of seed pod shape, we really liked that, and combining the two created what we have now.
Because our set was dead, dying, brown, and bluish tones, the flower basically needed to be yellow or some kind of warm tone. The warmth of the flower was necessary to kind of give the illusion of life and warmth, kind of like not a heartbeat, but completely contrast the darkness and deadness of the environment.
I also read the flower. The flower was amazing because I pretty much took that from a seed that grew out into this huge flower, and everything, the petals and everything, you're able to animate it and everything, so I'm very proud of that flower as well.
I didn't model all of Chip. Jacob did the body and the face. I ended up doing the first revision of his hoodie, and I also did a lot of the detail on Chip, like his bracers and his belt, the design on his chest and shoulder.
Part of what I did as a lead animator is come up with motifs for the characters in the movie and also their sort of demeanor. So motifs such as when they start out, the characters are really far apart. Physically, they're on a different plane. One of them's sitting, one of them's kind of kneeling away from him. And there's supposed to be a disconnect where they don't quite understand each other yet. So the second time they go to sleep, Chip and Flint are closer together. They're sitting together rather than completely apart as in the beginning of the movie. And in the end, they're actually touching. Chip is sitting on Flint's shoulder, and they form this sort of relationship and connection over the course of the story. So the story is really, it's about the characters and the flower that happens, but the true story is about the relationship that develops between the characters in the story.
With animation, that I was pretty much one of the people who got like a good chunk of like the front work of the animation done. Like with the rock climbing scene, I did the majority of the movements of him climbing up, and then Jacob would take it and just add in the little things that would make it look better.
Particles can be really, really tricky, and a lot of it is, if you don't have a mathematics background, which I don't, it's a lot of trial and error, and in my case it was a lot more error than trial. But once I got the settings right, it was really just a matter of setting it up again and again for every scene that it was needed.
There were a few lights that were rigged, like lights on the flower were rigged, but pretty much all the other lights were all hand placed from shot to shot, and getting the continuity from shot to shot was a hurdle.
The lighting with the flower helped move the story along. Like when the flower first bloomed, it was very bright. It was at the peak of its health. Then as the story went along, the flower's light slowly started getting dimmer and dimmer to show that as slowly progressing to its death.
We made the renders in a way where they were easy to composite into Nuke and to fix any issues that we had or had to re-render anything. Because there'd be an issue here, an issue there that we had to roto something out. So we wanted it to be very flexible, our pipeline. And we also did some paint overs on the renders before we put them into Nuke, so we know exactly kind of what the color should look like here, or what kind of particles, where they should be, the fog, any environment fog, or how the depth of field is going to look.
Every week, sometimes twice a week, we would have flower story meetings to kind of let everyone know what page we're on and to update everyone on the progress of our story. I think one of the most successful things about our story and our group is that we were all friends and we hung out after hours and did things outside of school. And so we were a completely unified group, and I think that comes through in our story.
I'm very proud of our class. I'm very proud of our group. I think that's one of the important things about making a production, is making sure the people in the production get along well with each other. We were filled with talented people, and everyone helped create such a beautiful story. And it is inspirational to see, how the story came from what I, first came up with, and then everyone's ideas came into this story and made it to something beautiful that it is right now.